Football here on First Take. The NFC West, very competitive this season. The Rams took down their division opponent on Sunday in a dominant fashion, 42-26, the victory over the 49ers. Stafford threw 4 touchdown passes, making it the 3rd straight game that he threw at least 4 TDs. The Rams now hold a 7-2 record. Staying in the West, the Seahawks put together a full team effort against the Cardinals. Sam Darnold got things going with a 43-yard touchdown pass, and the defense followed it up with 2 scores of their own. 44-22 win put Seattle at 7-2 on the season to keep pace with the Rams for first place in the division. So despite their tied record, our analytics give the Rams a 54% chance to win the NFC West, while the Seahawks have just a 31% chance. Seattle and LA will face off against one another for the first time this season on Sunday in Los Angeles, and then again in Week 16 in Seattle. And so, who should be the favorite in the NFC West? This is like picking which of your 2 kids are your favorite. The Rams or the Seahawks, Cam Newton?
I'm going Los Angeles Rams because Stephen Anthony and Mr. Schrager, competition does matter. When you look back at this week, when you see the matchup, Seattle, the difference maker was they played the Arizona Cardinals. When you look at the Rams, they played a quality opponent of the 49ers. We were just having this discussion on Friday about Mac and Cheese Jones. Like, what are we going to, or is that going to be a quarterback battle? Now, this is what I must say. From a quarterback to another quarterback, you have to give flowers where flowers are due. Matthew Stafford is probably the most skillful thrower the game has ever seen. And I'm saying that as a bold statement, taking into consideration of an Aaron Rodgers, taking into consideration of a Patrick Mahomes. But obviously this past weekend, he's through 400 touchdowns, or the 400 touchdown club, and now serves on a very elite group. When you watch Matthew Stafford plays, he doesn't have to attack you with 300-plus pass yard games. He's shown that he's well and capable of being very efficient with 200 yards. And the thing is, you have Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. That type of dynamic versus any type of matchup, no team wants to have to see that. And trust me, the LA Rams are built to have a deep playoff push.
You'll find no bigger fan of what Matthew Stafford is doing than me right now, but that Seattle defense could be the kryptonite. I just think Seattle's defense right now needs to get a little bit of national love for what they're doing. And I think yesterday, in that game where you're just seeing it on the bottom line, kind of like, oh, they're beating Arizona 35-0. I'm not putting that on. There's better games to watch. 2 defensive touchdowns, and they are dominant inside. Leonard Williams and DeMarcus Lawrence, who, by the way, the Cowboys also showed the door to this offseason, and it's been outstanding, are just 2 of the many players on that team, and they have a defensive head coach in Mike McDonald who's got them. I will say this about the Rams. Stafford is on an unbelievable pace right now. 20 touchdowns, 0 interceptions the last 6 games. The first quarterback in NFL history to do that. 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions the last 3 games. No one's doing that. Seahawks might be able to nip that in the bud. Sam Darnold, no one wants to give him his flowers, so he does it in the big game. I understand. Big game this weekend.
That you didn't see this coming. You knew their defense was going to be big time. Everybody was saying that, but you didn't see that. You didn't see the veracity. I mean, those were 2 bone-crushing hits against Jacoby Brissett, right? And when's the last time we talked about DeMarcus Lawrence getting touchdowns? I mean, it's not something we hear much about, but it happened yesterday. You just look at it and you're just saying to yourself, Seattle is no joke, right? But then I got to look at their offense, right? 4th team. I'm going to read this to y'all. 1st team since 1980 and the 4th team ever to exceed 30 first-half points 3 times in one season with still 8 games to go. You had 38-3 over the Saints, 31-7 over Washington, 35-0 over Arizona. Those first 2 finals, you didn't expect that against Arizona, right? So we got to look at the point differential plus 103. That's a franchise best to the point in this season. Then we're looking at Sam Darnold, NFL's 5 best games this season for per pass play efficiency. I mean, that's better than Drake May. That's better than anybody right now. Tied with Stafford and David May for most completions on passes traveling longer than 20 yards downfield, while ranking first in completion rate on these throws by far. By far. I mean, I'm just looking at them right now. If this is what it comes down to. You're talking about their defense. Defense ain't going nowhere. That defense is here.
And that defense will travel.
It's real. They will travel. They're not going anywhere. And Jigba, he ain't going nowhere. Okay? You got Shaheed in that. You ain't going nowhere. All right? It comes down to Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
It comes down to Sam Darnold. Now, here's the question. Do you believe in Seattle's defense or Matt Stafford? Because you're going to ultimately ask yourself, if you compare, there's nobody, I don't care how Sam Darnold looks, there's nobody that's going to pick him over Matthew Stafford. Anybody with sense is going to say Matthew Stafford, he's the Super Bowl champion. All right? We know he got obliterated and abused in Detroit. He's the one guy. You remember, Detroit was purgatory. And nobody ever said a word about Matthew Stafford because we knew he was a stud. They didn't have any help around him all of those years when Matthew Stafford was there, okay? So now he's gone. He comes to Los Angeles. He wins a first Super Bowl championship as soon as he arrived. We looked at the Eagles last year, and the Los Angeles Rams was what gave them the better game. They dropped 53 or 55 on the Washington Commanders. We saw what they did to Kansas City in the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl game for the Eagles was that game against Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. In the snow. Yeah. L.A. traveling. You don't usually see teams in Southern California performing in the snow. But they did. They were right there. So I'm just looking at it and I'm saying, okay, we believe in Matthew Stafford. But against this Seattle defense, that would be something to behold, assuming they face one another. The real question is, how much do you believe that Sam Darnold, who wet the bed in the season finale against Detroit, and then against the Rams in the playoffs last year in Minnesota, how much faith do you have that was then, this is now, and this brother who is a leading candidate for MVP, the way that he's been playing, is Sam Darnold going to show up when it counts? That is what Seattle comes down to.
It's a great, and I got to speak with Sam Darnold earlier this season, and he's still only 28 years old. Obviously, his fourth team. He's been around the world. Yeah. Last year, for Minnesota to say, you know what, we're good. We're going to ride with J.J. McCarthy. I think a lot of people would have cowered in that. They would have gone in the corner. He's been better this year. Yeah. And they were 14-3 last year. Until he does it in the playoffs, I can't crown Sam Darnold. Matthew Stafford's a made man. Matthew Stafford's a Super Bowl winner. Matthew Stafford right now is my vote for MVP if I was to do it right now. And yet Sam Darnold might be the story of the year because he's doing it again. He's proven doubters wrong again. He did it all last year. I find the Darnold story even more fascinating than the Stafford story. And yet when it all comes down to it, he and JSN are fantastic. That defense is what drives them, and I think they might be the kryptonite.
This game is in L.A., but when it's in Seattle, I think I said week 16, that home field advantage, too, when you've got a defense playing the way it is, that offense clicking on all cylinders, the only thing that maybe works in the Rams' favor, I think, for the Rams, is that this game's on the road for Seattle, which I think McDonald is like 11-0 on the road or something.
11-1, I believe.
11-1, yeah, crazy. So this should be an interesting game. Cam Newton, I feel like we're so accustomed, though, to seeing this from Matthew Stafford. That we're almost getting used to him having these dominant performances, dating back to even when he was with the Lions. Like, that might be part of the problem here for our psyche.
Right. Yeah. I want to mention this real quick. We have to understand how the NFL game structure is. It's built to have some type of closeness through the game, and somebody has to win it at the end. So to Stephen A's point, are you willing to say that Sam Darnold is able, capable, and he's going to lead his team to victory over a Matthew Stafford? Nobody's saying that, but that's how the structure of each game has gone. That's the difference between the Matthew Staffords. That's the difference between the Patrick Mahomes. That's the difference between the elite and great quarterbacks. And, Sam Darnold will have to prove that at some point this year.
Back to football here on First Take. Nothing has been going right for the Giants. They blew another fourth-quarter lead yesterday, this time to the Bears, as they fell to 2-8 on the season. To make matters worse, New York has now lost their star rookie quarterback, Jaxson Dart, when he suffered a concussion, a called quarterback run late in the game. He finished the day with 66 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, while passing for 242 yards. But now this begs the question, does Jaxson Dart maybe need to change his style of play? What do you think, Cam Newton?
So I'm going to go with this. It's the head coach's main responsibility to put the team in the best situation to win. And some of that also means protecting players from themselves. How many times, and this is a question to not just the panel, but also to the people who are watching this, how many times have we seen Jaxson Dart leave the game for any reason this season? And that's including the preseason as well. It's been extremely alarming to see him. It's almost become a repetitive thing to see him go into the blue tent for whatever reason. Now, this is what I will say, because that's for Coach Daboll, right? the schematics about how do you approach your starting quarterback. On the other hand, I've been the biggest Jaxson Dart fan because of the energy that this young man brings. And why Jabbar? Because he's a part of the community. I would typically say, boy, Jaxson Dart, you're invited to the cookout, but it's too cold in New York, so therefore we're going to invite you to Thanksgiving. And this is a very exclusive group that you're entering in, because we've accepted the Joe Burrows. We've accepted the Travis Hunters. I mean, not the Travis Hunters, the Travis Kelce's. We've also will accept you as well, too. But understand this, Jaxson Dart, you have to be very mindful of your importance to not just your own health, but the success of the franchise. And when you start running with not the willingness to get down, even with the quarterback design run, that puts everybody's job in question. And you do not want that to happen, sir. So, Jaxson Dart, make the right decision and alter your game for the betterment of your career.
Yes, he does need to do that, but it falls on Dable. And here's why I would tell you this. He's a rookie. He's in the league. That moxie is what has galvanized the fan base. Even though you have a losing record, you're destined to finish in last place in the division and stuff like that. Even though I saw an elevated level of effort from the Giants yesterday compared to what I saw from them in the recent couple of weeks. You saw effort from them, so I give them credit where credit is due on the defensive side of the ball, because, you know, they looked like they were giving up on plays like the week before and stuff like that. That was not the case yesterday. Jaxson Dart being out for concussion, let's put this in its proper consideration. That was the 4th time in 4 months he's been in concussion protocol. And yesterday he didn't make it, or he didn't make it back into the game. So that's the coach right there. Why do I say that? Because even though he's been sliding a little bit better and getting out of bounds, we have to give him credit where credit is due in that regard. For the most part, the Giants still called 5 designed running plays for him.
Over 20 this season.
And over 20 this season. What are you doing? What are you doing? That's Brian Dable, and I like Brian Dable a lot. I don't think I'm not one of those guys that look at him and say, this man can't coach. He's the coach of the year. And don't tell me he don't know what the hell he's doing, because I think he does. But that's a man playing. That's a man coaching to keep his job. Yes. Not coaching, just coaching. Because if you just coaching, you are going, hold on, Cam, you are going to protect the future of your franchise. You can't have a guy that previously already had 3 concussions this year as a rookie. You can't justify, calling designed running plays for a guy that design running plays. What you doing? You put your head down. That's the first thing you do. You put your head down. That's the last thing you want if you got a concussion issue. And so we have to look at it from that standpoint. You're a football coach, formerly on the offensive side of the ball in Buffalo before you got the head coach job in New York. You know better. You know better. Okay? And last point. I told y'all, Skattebo being out was going to be a demoralizing thing for them, because he's not just a runner, he's a rough rider. Like the contact, like talking smack, like coming at you. Let's go. He's that kind of dude. And that's not only Jackson, I think it was, roommate, whatever, the best friends getting along with. Yeah. They're boys. You lose your boy. Y'all know this. You know this, Cam. Your teammates are your teammates, and you're loving all that stuff. But when somebody's your boy, you know what I'm saying? And they down, and y'all ride together on the football field, on the same side of the field, and that brother ain't there, that can be debilitating. Yeah. That could be debilitating. And I knew it from the time Skattebo went down. I said, listen, they might not have gone far anyway. But I knew from the moment Skattebo went down, we was going to see a precipitous decline by the New York Giants.
Man neighbors, yeah.
Yeah, I spoke to Skattebo a couple of weeks ago when it was really like the height of everything. I said, when did you learn about Jaxson Dart? He said, never met the guy. He goes, I get drafted on day 2 or day 3, get a FaceTime from Jaxson Dart, and Jaxson Dart's looking at Skattebo and says, let's go. And the two of them are like, they're rookies, they're all that. So you're 100% right on that. I think it's so interesting how to handle these rookie quarterbacks. And Cam Newton, you might be the most equipped of anybody to talk about this, the style of play and how dominant you were in the open field. You kind of have to walk this balance. You want him to be super competitive. You want him to make all the plays. You don't want him to lose his moxie. You don't want to neuter this kid. This is what Jaxson Dart is. He is an explosive playmaker and can also do it with his legs. Now, he had 200 yards passing in the first half. He was having an outstanding game. How do you find a way? And I think really the only way these guys learn, and Cam, I don't know if Mike Shula was in your ear or North Turner was in your ear or who it was when you were a rookie, but the only way sometimes they learn is when they get hurt and they get injured and they have to then realize, I don't want to be out. I want to play. I have to make it a self-conscious, conscientious effort to go down. Brian Daboll coached Josh Allen as a rookie. Like Brian Daboll knows about big-bodied quarterbacks who like to take a little contact. Josh Allen changed. Cam, I'd be fascinated to hear, like, how did you protect yourself? Because arguably no quarterback was ever targeted more by the defense than you, and you still found a way to run over them and dominate the league.
It's demise from the league, but that's not real. That's false. I injured my shoulder trying to make a tackle after an interception got called back. That's the demise of my career, my shoulder. It wasn't because I was running. It wasn't because I was taking hits. It's that type of thought process that I knew. Rod Trzcinski, Norv Turner, Mike Shula, Ken Dorsey, individuals that were very impactful. Ron Rivera would always mention, we need you to be healthy. So you having the unwillingness to take that into mind when you're running with the football, this is the thing, Stephen A. Smith, and you say it's on Coach Daboll. I would say contrary, because if that's your best option to win, you have to do it. It now goes back to Jaxson Dart to say, hey, while I'm running, as a quarterback, there's only one position, probably two in a receiver, but as a quarterback, that's the only position that you can literally protect yourself, even with a called run. You see what I'm saying? You can't do that as a running back. You can't definitely do that as a tight end or a fullback. So if you get a design run where, okay, I've gotten the most yards that this play gives me to make, get down. Hey, I feel the pressure coming in from both sides. Get down. The thing that I'll say this in my closing, one of the main things in my career, I did not know how to slide. And Mike Shula at the time would always, kind of give me flack, and Derek Anderson and Joe Webb would always give me flack for not being able to slide. But in practice, we made that an initiative to say, hey, I'm not teaching you how to slide for you to slide. I'm teaching you how to roll with the tackle. As you're feeling a defender come to you, where is his weak spot where you can go up under him in a way where you protect yourself? And if you go back and you watch the film, those are the tactics while running. Okay, I've got 6 yards. That's all I can get. Let me get down. Let me slide. Let me get up under the blow where I do not take the brunt of it. And that's what Jaxson Dart has to implement in his cycle of skills.
You have to remember he's a rookie. Like, he's so young. Like, what Cam is saying makes perfect sense, but maybe he just hasn't learned that skill set yet. Like, he's unaware of the kind of pressure that's coming at him. Quickly, too, because obviously we're asking Cam Newton this for a reason. Jaxson Dart, 5th straight game with a rushing touchdown, passing, 2011. Cam Newton for the longest streak by a rookie quarterback in NFL history. So he passed you, Cam Newton.